Imagine this. You're dragged into a filthy police cell, fists raining down on your skull until the world goes black. Blood pools in your mouth, and the only sound is their laughter echoing off the walls. Worthless scum, they sneer. You wake up broken, humiliated, the system that swore to protect you now, your executioner. But what if that rage didn't break you? It forged you into something unstoppable. What if your revenge wasn't just personal, it was a scream heard across a nation? This is the story of Javed Iqbal, the man who turned betrayal into horror. Stick around, because the payoff? It's as chilling as it gets. If you've ever felt the burn of injustice, that knot in your gut when the world kicks you while you're down, this one's for you. Hit that like button if you've craved a taste of payback, subscribe for more raw, real revenge tales that hit like a gut punch, and turn on notifications so you never miss the drop. Let's dive into the shadows of Lahore, where one man's pain became a nation's nightmare. Picture Lahore in the sweltering summer of 1998. The air hangs thick with the spice of sizzling Sikh kebabs and the metallic tang of exhaust from rickshaws weaving through crowded bazaars. Minarets pierce the hazy sky, calling the faithful to prayer, while in the shadows of the old city, life pulses with desperate energy. Street kids, ghosts in tattered clothes, dart between vendors, their eyes hollow from hunger, their laughter a rare flicker against the grind. This is their world, invisible, expendable, forgotten. And into this chaos steps Javed Iqbal. At 37, he's not the monster you might imagine. Medium build, neatly parted hair hidden under a worn cap, glasses perched on an unremarkable face. He blends in like the dust on his simple cordis. Born in 1961 to a middle-class family in Lahore, not the rags-to-riches tale, but comfortable enough, a father in business, siblings who carved out stable lives. Javed, he was the quiet one, the sixth of eight, always watching from the edges. School was a blur of whispers and sideways glances. He dropped out early, drifting into odd jobs, then settling into a small metal polishing shop in the gritty Shadbag neighborhood. He lived alone in a modest three-room house, walls echoing with silence, his only companions the ghosts of unmet expectations. But beneath that ordinary shell, a fracture deep and jagged, waiting to split wide open. Javed's mind was a storm of quiet resentments, the overlooked brother, the failed dreamer who saw wealth slip through his fingers like sand. He craved control, validation, a way to make the world bend. And then, in the mid-1990s, it all cracked. It started with a boy, a runaway, just like the ones he'd later hunt. Javed, in a haze of his own twisted urges, crossed a line. He was accused of sodomy, dragged into the labyrinth of Lahore's police stations. What happened next wasn't justice, it was savagery. The cops, those self-proclaimed guardians, didn't just arrest him. They unleashed hell. Picture it, Javed handcuffed to a rusty bench in a dimly lit interrogation room that reeks of sweat and stale pawn. The air is suffocating, fans whirring uselessly overhead. You like boys, eh? Filthy animal, one officer snarls, his boots slamming into Javed's ribs. Another grabs his collar, fist crashing into his jaw. Crack, the taste of copper flooding his mouth. But it's the head blows that break him, relentless, like hammers on an anvil, until his vision blurs, stars exploding behind his eyelids. The boy he'd assaulted? He fought back first, clubbing Javed unconscious before the police even arrived. But the cops? They finished the job, beating him until he blacked out in a pool of his own blood. When Javed came to, hours later in a dingy hospital cot, the pain wasn't just physical. It clawed at his soul, a white-hot shame that burned deeper than any bruise. His head throbbed like a war drum, stitches pulling tight across his scalp. They were supposed to protect me, he thought, staring at the peeling ceiling, fists clenched until his nails drew blood. The system, society, they laughed. They called me nothing. No trial, no real punishment for his crime. Just a slap on the wrist, bribes whispered to make it vanish. But the humiliation, it festered. Nights blurred into fever dreams, faces of mocking officers, the sting of fists, the roar of blood in his ears. He paced his empty house, shadows dancing on the walls, whispering, "They think I'm weak. Broken. I'll show them power. I'll make them see." That rage, it didn't fade. It mutated. By late 1998, Javed's shop became a lure. He'd wander the railway stations at dusk, Lahore's underbelly, where orphan boys huddled against the chill, bellies empty, dreams dust. Ages 6 to 16, runaways from fractured homes, orphans the city chewed up and spat out. To them, Javed was a savior. "By come," he'd say softly, his voice like warm chai on a cold night, holding out a crumpled 50-rupee note or a paper plate of hot samosas, steam rising in the twilight. Their eyes lit up, trust blooming in gaunt faces. Food, shelter, someone who sees me. One by one, they'd follow him through the twisting alleys of Shadbag, the call to prayer fading behind them, unaware of the trap snapping shut. Inside his house, that unassuming concrete box with bars on the windows, the mask dropped. The air turned thick, chemical sharp from the vats of hydrochloric acid bubbling in the back room, an acrid fog that stung the eyes. Javed's hands trembled at first, not from fear, but from the electric thrill of control. "This is for them," he'd mutter to himself, chain glinting in the dim bulb's glow. "The police, the world that beat me down." He'd lure them in with promises, work here, earn steady rupees, then strike. A cloth over mouth, laced with a cyanide mist that burned their lungs like fire. Their small bodies convulsing, eyes wide with betrayal, tiny fists clawing at his sleeves. Gurgling gasps, the wet rattle of final breaths. Javed's heart pounded, not with guilt, but triumph. "You're mine now. No one will ignore this." Then the ritual. He dragged them to the back, the floor slick with anticipation. Chain around fragile necks, tightening slow, savoring the pop of cartilage, the final twitch. Blood warm on his hands, coppery and slick. Dismemberment followed, knife slicing through flesh with mechanical precision, the wet schlick echoing off the walls. Into the vats they went, hydrochloric acid hissing like 1,000 serpents, flesh bubbling away in frothy white, bones softening to sludge over hours that stretched like eternity. The smell, oh the smell, a vile cocktail of rot and chemicals that clawed at his throat, making him gag even as he smiled. Erased, like they tried to erase me. He'd pour the slurry into the Ravi River at midnight, watching it swirl away under the moon, a dark secret swallowed by the current. Cost? Just 120 rupees per boy, acid chain, bribes to teenage accomplices who lured more for pocket change. But Javed didn't stop at erasure. He documented it all, a twisted ledger of vengeance. Notebooks filled with neat script, names like Ali, 8, from the station platform, Faisal, 12, the orphan with the shy grin. Photos, Polaroids of their trusting smiles before the end, tucked beside bundles of tiny shirts, blood-flecked, and rows of small, scuffed shoes lined up like trophies on a shelf. Hair clippings in bags, combs matted with strands that wouldn't fully dissolve. Proof, he'd think, fingers tracing the pages, a cold fire in his chest. When the world sees, they'll choke on their indifference. Tension built with each kill. Number 50, his hand steady now, no tremor. Number 75, the thrill dulling into routine, but the rage? It burned brighter, fueled by news of more street kids vanishing, the police shrugging them off as runaways. See, no one cares. Until I make them. By summer 1999, the disappearances whispered through Lahore's veins, 100 boys gone, a ghost haunting the markets. Mothers wailed in stations, clutching faded photos, their voices raw. My son, he wouldn't just leave. Cops dismiss them, overworked and corrupt, muttering, kids like that? They fade away. Javed watched from his shop, heart racing with dark glee. They're blind. But soon, his accomplices, scared teens like Sajid, lured by easy cash, grew jittery, eyes darting as they fetched more boys. By enough, Sajid whispered one night, voice cracking. Javed's grip tightened on his shoulder, eyes like ice. This is justice, boy, for what they did to me. The turning point came in the dead of November, rain lashing the tin roof like accusations. Javed sat at his scarred wooden table, notebooks spread before him, the acid vats silent witnesses in the corner. His head still ached phantom pains from that beating years ago, a dull throb, a reminder. I've given them 100 screams. Now the world hears mine. He penned the letter, ink bleeding slightly on cheap paper, words pouring like venom. I, Javed Iqbal, have killed 100 innocents. Strangled them, dissolved them. This is my revenge on a society that failed me, on police who beat me senseless for a crime they twisted into nothing. He sealed it, addressed to the Daily Jang, and another to the cops. Your move, he thought, a shiver of anticipation rippling through him. No remorse, just resolve, cold, unyielding. He vanished into the night, a ghost in his own city, hiding in culverts and caves, the manhunt exploding around him like fireworks he ignited. For a month, Lahore burned with fury. Nets drag the Ravi, divers surfacing with haunted eyes, traces of bone in the murk. Protests swelled, families chanting, fists raised, the air electric with grief and rage. Justice for the lost. Media frenzy, headlines screaming acid killer, foreign reporters swarming like vultures. Javed, from his hiding spots, felt the power surge. They're looking now, feeling it. But fear crept in too, a worm in his gut. What if they find me first? End it quick? No, I choose the end. December 30th, 1999. The clock ticks toward Millennium Madness, but in a quiet Jang office, the door creaks open. Javed steps in unshaven, eyes hollow but steady, the weight of 100 ghosts on his shoulders. The receptionist freezes, phone halfway to her ear. "I am Javed Iqbal," he says, voice flat as a blade, no tremble, just finality. "Killer of 100 boys. Call the police. My work is done." The room erupts, shouts, scrambling feet, flashes of cameras. Cops swarm in minutes later, guns drawn, faces twisted in fury. "You monster!" One spits, cuffing him rough, the metal biting into wrists that once held chains. Javed doesn't flinch. Feel it, he thinks, a dark satisfaction blooming as they drag him out, crowds baying for blood. The trial, a spectacle of shattered souls. Lahore courtroom, March 2000, wooden benches packed with wailing mothers, air thick with sobs and incense from hurried prayers. Javed sits center, expression blank, like he's watching someone else's life. Prosecutors lay it bare, the notebooks, the shoes, vats with half-dissolved horrors, hair everywhere like accusations. He planned it, they thunder. Revenge on us all. Javed takes the stand, voice monotone, eyes distant. "They beat me. Broke me. Society spat on the weak. I gave those boys purpose, exposed the rot." Gasps ripple, a mother collapses, keening. But the judge? His gavel cracks like thunder. "Guilty on all counts," he booms, face stone. "You will be strangled 100 times, once for each child, before their parents. Your body hacked into 100 pieces, dissolved in acid, as you did to them." The courtroom explodes, cheers, screams, a raw catharsis. Javed's mask cracks for the first time. Eyes widen, a flicker of the boy they beat years ago. They see me now. All of me. But it's hollow triumph, the rage sated, leaving only ash. The nation exhaled, justice, poetic and brutal. Protests turned to vigils, the Ravi dredged for closure that never fully came. Javed's payoff. Notoriety eternal, but in his cell, alone with the echoes, the victory soured. I made them pay, but at what cost? Javed Iqbal's tale isn't just revenge, it's a mirror to our shadows, how pain unchecked twists into poison. It begs the question, when does justice become vengeance? And who pays the ultimate price? In the end, karma's whisper is this: hurt festers, but healing starts with seeing the forgotten before they vanish. Phew, if Javed's cold fury gave you chills or made your blood boil, smash that like button. It fuels these stories. Drop in the comments, what's the wildest injustice you've seen turn to payback? Share your tales, we might feature one next. And hey, subscribe for more Reddit-fueled revenge that sticks with you. Turn on notifications. Next up, a corporate takedown that'll have you cheering. Thanks for watching. Stay vengeful, stay vigilant. Peace.